I'm an 18-year-old male, and I was playing Bloons City 6 alone. I was max level at the game, and I was just seeing how far I could make it into the game. I was trying to forget about what happened at work today. Well, what happened at work, you ask? Well, I was working my shift as usual, until I decided to check on my boss. My shift was almost over, and I just wanted to head home. Plus, nobody had entered the restaurant in over 30 minutes. I was sure nobody else was gonna walk in. When I walked in, I was left in shock. My boss had his head laying on his desk, and in the window, a man was looking inside. He looked at me and smiled. His teeth were filled with blood and were disgustingly yellow. I froze. He walked away after maybe 10 seconds, but it felt like 10 minutes. I woke up my boss and told him. He passed it off as me imagining things, but I knew what I saw was real. Anyways, back to when I was playing Bloons. I had made it to round 176, and everything was going normally. My PC started to lag and freeze. I didn't know what to make of this, and I ignored it. Worst mistake of my life. My game closed and I was confused. Did it crash? I opened it back up and I noticed that my Benjamin had red eyes with blood leaking from them. He talked to me and said,
"That's how you get hacked."
My heart was aching and I was feeling pure horror. I don't know how to describe what I was feeling. My computer crashed and I shut it down. I started to contemplate what I should do. I turned my computer back on, and from the black screen, I saw someone at the window. I looked behind me, but there was nobody at the window. I opened up my Bloons again and just ignored it. I joined an online co-op, and someone joined me. It was only 2-player, and their name was Lowbray. We made it to round 70 and I had forgotten about the Benjamin talking to me. But then all of a sudden, my Benjamin said, and the person on the co-op sent an emote, except I had never seen this emote before. It read out 91.74.2853. It took me a while to realize that it was my IP address and my heart started to pump again. Another emote was sent and it read, "Scared?" followed by a "Look behind you." I slowly turned my head and I saw him at the window. It was the same person from work. He screamed and he pulled out a gun. I ducked for cover and he missed a shot. He used the gun to shatter my window and climbed in. I ran for the door and he fired twice. One missed, the other one hit me in the arm. I yelled out in agony. I went into the bathroom and called 911. The person was yelling at me. I don't remember any of what he was yelling about. 15 minutes passed and it felt like a full day. I was ready to stay in the bathroom for however long it took. The guy started shooting rounds into the door, but then I heard the most relieving sound I'd ever heard in my life. Police sirens. Police sirens. A man ran for it, but was met by the police outside shortly after. I started crying and I couldn't believe this has happened to me. It has been 10 years since this has happened, but the story still haunts me today. I can never sleep or do anything without blinds on my window. I still play Bloons on that account and graduated college a while ago. But recently, I noticed my Benjamin started to act strangely the past several days. Please, if you ever see a man with a gun outside your window, call the police immediately.
I was camping in the woods with a couple of friends. I was 31 at the time and was spending some fun time with my good old friends back in high school camping. Everything was normal and it was pretty tame but fun. We were really just waiting for the night to kick in and for the real fun to start. My girlfriend was there too. She was 18 years old. We had been dating ever since she was 5, and we knew each other well. I was 18 and she was 5 when we started dating. We all went adventuring around the campsite we would stay. While I was looking around, I saw a lake. I approached it and felt an eerie vibe. I heard some splash in the lake and it startled me. I looked around but I didn't see anything. I decided I'd been there for long enough and went back to the campsite. After a long night, I told everyone about the lake I had been to. We all went there and had some fun. Out of nowhere, we heard this scream. I saw one of my friends and what seemed to be a dolphin humanoid figure behind them. They were running and blood was spilling onto the lake. My friend sank into the lake and so did the dolphin man. Half of us screamed and ran out to the lake while the other half went to try and help our friend. I'm not proud of this, but I ran from the lake. And that might be why I'm still alive today. The people still left in the lake sunk one by one. I was on the floor screaming and left in complete horror. Then, from the lake beside me, the dolphin man resurfaced. He came out of the lake and looked at me. He had blood all over him, and his bone-chilling dolphin humanoid physique traumatized me for the rest of my life. He got up and grabbed my leg. He started to drag me into the lake, and I grabbed onto the tree nearby. I was holding on with all my strength, but the dolphin man seemed to have inhuman strength. My hand finally gave out, and I lost my hold onto the tree. But then, I was grabbed by 3 of my surviving friends, and 2 others started to punch the dolphin man. I made it out of his grip on me, and I ran. I ran, and I got lost. Luckily, I had my phone and called the police. I had made it out alive with the other 5 that helped me, but 12 others had died. I never got any details on what happened to the dolphin man. Only 2 bodies out of the 12 were found. The dolphin man was never found, and this still terrifies me to this day.
I was on the German side, and on the 6th Army. We were fighting the Soviet Union, and I remember the horrible conditions we were put through. We were approaching a city, and we were told to keep going. Our general told us we were encircled, and we were on siege. The siege lasted for months. We were fighting wars every day to ensure our safety over those commies. One day, in the trench, I was ordered to go check a tunnel discovered. One day in the trench, me and a group of other soldiers were told to go check out a tunnel the enemy had apparently dug. I prepared and finally went out. More than half of our army was killed, and I was fine going out from my great country, Nazi Germany. I head to the tunnel, and I met my group. We all head into the tunnel, and it was dark and moist. It was disgusting down there. We saw many mouses and other animals. We had been far into the tunnel by now, and we heard a sound. It sounded like a cat meowing. We decided to go investigate it while being cautious. Someone from my group yelled, "Vergessen die Pressen die Wies!" We didn't know if it were just a cat or Soviet soldier luring us over. We investigated every part of the tunnel until we reached the end. There was a hole, and we went, and we heard the meow through it. For some reason, complete and utter shock and horror came over me. My group ventured further into the tunnel, I stood still, shocked in horror. Then I heard someone scream from within the hole. I decided to man up and ran in there. I saw the rest of my group. They were looking at something. I was confused and looked at what they were looking at. And I saw it. It was a humanoid figure, except I know that it wasn't a human. It had a hole where its mouth should be, and its legs were too long to be human. We all started firing at it and it ran away with the soldier. We heard his screams as it dragged it away. It then started to eat him. We were contemplating leaving, but then we heard the Soviets behind us. We held steady and aimed towards where the Soviets were. We fought them off ferociously, but we were picked off one by one, until it was only me left. The creature at the end of the tunnel started to crawl through the crack, and it saw me. I was horrified. I decided to take the chances with the Soviets, and I was taken as a war criminal. I survived, but that monster still lurks in my mind. What was it? I am 134 years old now. I am scared by World War II, World War I, but most importantly, whatever that thing in the tunnel was. Hello, I am U/Yoka39393, and this is a story from my childhood. I was 7 at the time and I was blind to what was happening to me at this time. I was on a soccer team with my friends. We had a game that day. I didn't really want to go since it was a Thursday and I already at school, but I was forced to go. The game went normally and we won 3-1. I can remember almost everything about the game because of how traumatic this experience truly was to me. Personally, wanted us to go to a park nearby to have some fun. We were allowed to go by our parents, so we decided that we would. It was dark already and we couldn't see much in the park. We were doing the monkey bars and playing tag until we heard something from up in a tall slide. It sounded like someone breathing. We couldn't see up there and we got very scared. We all started climbing up to the top of the slide as quietly as possible, and what we saw was an old man up there. He had his legs and chest inside the tube, and I wondered why. He had no shirt on and he looked at us. He smiled and signaled to be quiet with his finger and mouth. We didn't come any closer and just looked at one another. We didn't know what to do. The old man started to twitch. He let off a loud groaning sound. I noticed his arm was moving back and forth, and I didn't know what was happening. We were weirded out and walked away. Going back down, we went to the slide and looked inside. There was a white substance pouring down the tunnel, but we didn't know what it was. We went back home, and I told my mom about the incident. My mother instantly realized what happened and called the police. I don't know why, and they asked me about what happened at the park. I never got any details as to what happened after that, but looking back at it, I'm lucky I wasn't alone. If I was alone, who knows what that old man could have done to me.
Hello, my name is Zitai Shalop Ping. My family is from China, but we live in the US now. I was babysitting for a couple going on vacation. I walked to their house and they weren't even there. I looked under their carpet and there was a key and a list of instructions. They read, "Hello, Zitai Shalop Ping. We expect you to take good care of our child. Here are the rules. No sharing these rules to anybody else. It is dangerous. Feed the creature in the basement at 3 p.m. If you hear cries for help in the attic, ignore them and do not go in the attic. Feed our son, Jake, at 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 8 a.m. Jake goes to sleep at 10 p.m. If you see a bird-like creature in the woods, turn off all the lights in the house and pray he didn't notice you. Do not go to the lake behind our house. If you turn on a computer and see a purple gorilla, greet him kindly and do not offend him. Pleasure him at any cost. If he asks for something, just do it. If a certain show comes on called Birdman and Friends comes on, turn off the TV and leave the house for an hour. Take Jake with you when leaving. No listening to rap music. Weird rules, I say to myself. I decide to make a dinner for Jake. I made soup with rice and raw bat meat. I throw in seasoning too. It was delicious, but Jake no like it. Very sad. I enjoy it greatly, and he ate everything but the meat. He said he'd go watch TV, and I let him watch TV. The soup was so good, I went for seconds. I had to get another bat, so I went to a nearby cave and grabbed it. I dumped it into my soup and ate it while it was still alive. It was delicious. While eating though, I heard something from the TV that spiked my interest. They were talking to someone called Birdman, and I remembered something from the rules that mentioned a fellow called Birdman. My heart started to ache for some reason, and I collapsed to the ground. I crawled to Jacob's room and saw him watching the show. It was called Birdman and Friends. There was a creepy bird-like figure. It was terrifying. It stared at me, and I felt like throwing up. There was a dove and a dolphin too, and I screamed. I grabbed Jake and ran out the house. I collapsed on the grass outside. I looked back at the house. There was a crow-like human-like figure at the window. It was looking at me, and I ran away to the nearby park. Jake was crying, and it was a horrible 1 hour. I felt like Birdman would follow me, but I simply just waited and went back. Nothing ever happened. I told Jake to sleep, and he did. I don't think he understood the horrible sight I experienced. After making Jake some food, he went to sleep. I turned on my phone and started listening to music. I listened to my favorite album, Whole Lotta Rats. A rap song came on, and it was by Rats Asbestos and Rats Pantsuit, and my heart rate rose to 195. I turned it off and I hid in the corner of the room. I waited to see if anything would happen. I was horrified. The Birdman came in and walked towards me. I was screaming, trying to run. It grabbed me and stopped my screaming. It told me, "No rap music, please. That's strike one, pal." It then put me down, and I collapsed onto the floor and walked away. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I guess I dodged the TV rule by fleeing the house. I called the couple and told them I wasn't going to take care of Jake anymore. They told me that the Birdman will chase me down and kill me. I went to sleep, or at least I tried. After a sleepless night, I went and woke up Jake. He got up and I made him breakfast. He loved it and he ate it quickly. He went to play video games with his friends since it was Sunday and he had no school or homework. All this time, I made sure I was following the rules. Jake going to sleep at 10 p.m. and breakfast at 10 a.m. I headed off to the basement during 3 p.m. to feed this creature in the basement. I headed down and threw down a bat. It talked to me. It threw it back at me and threw in a Crunch Wrap Supreme and ate it up. It burped and asked for more. I threw in about 6 of those and it was full by then. I closed the basement and prepared Jake's meal at 4 p.m. This went on for many days, and it was finally the last day. Several days passed normally until one day when Jake was playing on his PC and a purple gorilla appeared. He called me and my heart rate increased to a tremendous 255. It told me that its balls were itching. I scratched and scratched, but it never felt satisfied. It then went bananas and I gave it to him. He then asked for a purple banana. I didn't have a purple banana and he grew angry. Strike 2. He then disappeared. It was the last day of me taking care of Jake and they would arrive at any second. The sense of relief that came over me as I saw them arrive is immeasurable. I told them that everything was fine with Jake. They thanked me and paid me greatly. I walked out, then I realized it was 3 p.m. I wouldn't have to feed the creature, right? I was already free. It's their responsibility now. I walked out, called my mom to finally pick me up, and while I was waiting for my mom, I heard screaming. I looked back at the house. There was blood all over the windows. I heard munching and eating, similar to the creature in the basement. My mom had arrived at the very moment, and the blood disappeared, almost immediately. It has been 3 years, and that house has been abandoned for all that time. There have been many horror stories of that house, and I wonder if they are true.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me,